in 2 weeks because I've been getting check marks and saying things that I'm not saying them. Our teachers are saying them, but still I stand behind them. And so tell everybody that we are live, and who better to start us with the week with Dr. Michael Klaper. And so let me start the recording because I want us all to be able to see as much as we possibly can. I am going to, before we do the recording, I want to check to see that we are live on YouTube. And
you are live on YouTube.
I am live on YouTube. Welcome back, YouTube. I'm excited that you are back in my life. There we go. I'm not. Did you say no? Okay.
I'm saying you are on YouTube.
I am on YouTube. There we go. Okay. So I'm seeing it now, and I'm excited that we're all together. So I'm going to hit the record button so that we can record for our podcast and BitChute and Odyssey. Here we go. Today is a treat for me because I shared a wonderful experience with Dr. Michael Klaper, a couple years ago, with our water fast that we did, our 5-day water fast, and he is back to talk about the benefits of water. So fasten your seatbelt. It's time to get in the moment, get in the now with music and dancing and being joyful. And so fasten your seatbelt. It's time to learn and grow together. Here we go.
The Lillian Mcdermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here. Right here, and when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for
you. This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian Mcdermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian Mcdermott.
Hello, my listening and viewing friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning into the classroom for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place that you can come to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my commitment to make my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth and a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. As I was saying before, I started the record button for all of you in podcast land and BitChute and Odyssey. Before I started my record button, I was complimenting today's teacher, Dr. Michael Klaper. We're back on YouTube again after our second strike, and we are ready to continue to learn and grow. I learned a lot with Dr. Klaper, who specializes in nutritional science and how you can heal the body with water and good nutrition, and of course, spirit, mind, and body. And so Dr. Klaper guided me in a 5-day water fast, and some of you joined me. Like, we're going to be doing pretty soon a 30-day raw vegan challenge, and I'm curious as to what Dr. Klaper would have to say about the raw vegan challenge, 30-day raw vegan challenge, and that way you allow your body to experience natural, cleansing, healthy food. But today we're going to be talking to Dr. Klaper about the replenishing power of water. Why is water so important in our life? And what does it do to us when we ignore it and get it out of our body and treat it with, like it's not an important part of our life? And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Michael Klaper is here to do just that. Welcome back, Dr. Klaper. We've missed you in the classroom.
Oh, it's good to be back, Lillian. Hi to you and all your viewers.
That's right. And everybody loves you. And I've had so many comments on the fast that we did, which, by the way, there's a separate playlist for Dr. Klaper. We did the fasting. And so it's all there, day 1 all the way through, I think, day 6 or 7 that we did, because you were with me when I took a bite of my first piece of food. And we shared that experience together as well. Share a little bit about what's going on with you. It's been since 2019. Share a little bit about your background and where you are today.
Well, thank you for that. I'm a classically trained Western physician, graduated from the University of Illinois College of Medicine in Chicago. For the first 10 years of my medical career, about 9 years, I did regular blood and guts medicine, emergency rooms, operating rooms, urgent care clinics. But about 10 years into my medical career, I adopted a whole food plant-based diet. My body responded beautifully. A 20-pound spare tire of fat melted off my waist in 12 weeks. My high blood pressure went to normal. My high cholesterol went to normal. I felt great waking up in a nice lean body every day. The medical literature was starting to show reports of diseases, high blood pressure, etc., being reversed on a whole food plant-based diet. Mm-hmm. So I for the last 40 years now, have been making plant-based, whole food, plant-based nutrition the focus of my practice. I spent almost 9 years on the staff of True North Health Center in Northern California. And there I saw plant-based nutritional medicine in all its powerful glory, reversing diseases of all types, from autoimmune diseases to skin diseases, diabetes, etc. So in the last few years, I've been both doing a telemedicine practice to help people individually with their problems. If they want to contact me, go to plantbasedtelehealth.com. I'm sure we'll have the notice available. But my real passion is awakening the medical students across the country and around the world. It's, as much as I love my beloved medical profession, it's embarrassing how little doctors know about nutrition and how key it is. It's the keystone to arrest and reverse these dreadful diseases: obesity, diabetes, hypertension, clogged arteries. A whole food plant-based diet will reverse these conditions. And somebody needs to tell the young medical students of that. I wish someone had told me that when I was a first-year student. It would have changed the course of my whole medical career. Mm-hmm. And so we have a nonprofit initiative called Moving Medicine Forward. If people want to learn what we're doing or help us, because we have employees we need to pay, go to my website, drklaper.com, and click on Moving Medicine Forward, and you'll see what we're doing and how you can help. So between telemedicine and Moving Medicine Forward and getting out and watching the birds as often as I can in this beautiful state, I'm a busy guy and a very grateful one. I'm happy and healthy and turning 75 this year, and I feel wonderful. So
congratulations.
I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Yeah, but I just recently was talking to a couple of people about how important nutrition is, but a mindset of gratitude, and along with the action of gratitude is invaluable as well. So, it is important to eat well and to drink lots of water, but that mindset is so important as well. And I know that you and I talked about it when I was doing my fast, but, can you elaborate a little bit more on this gratitude and how it makes a difference in people's lives when they are healing their body?
Well, it depends on one's perspective, of course. And if something absolutely dreadful has just happened, there's been a terrible car accident and people have been killed, and suddenly your life's turned upside down, I can't be platitudinous, be grateful, though we're still alive there. And I don't want to minimize it. But if you're not in that desperate a strait, it's really helpful to take a little step back and see all the blessings we've been given on a daily basis. You've got a body that moves without pain, that you can breathe easily in and out. You've got all your bodily functions intact. That's a blessing. Whenever I lose sight of that, I see someone go by in a wheelchair and I say, thank you. Again, being pejorative of people who in wheelchairs. But again, it reminds me that we shouldn't take little things like walking and breathing easily for granted. And in our daily lives, we are so blessed to be here in America. I don't know where people are watching on this particular broadcast, but I needn't mention if you're in Ukraine tonight and there's mortar shells falling on your house and there's no water, no electricity, you realize how much we have to be grateful for. You can turn the tap on and fresh water, drinkable water comes out the faucet. You can go to bed with no explosives going off. Now, there's so much to be grateful for. It really puts an individual ache or pain or a medication or something in perspective. It should motivate us to become even better, do everything you can do to get your body and your life working as best as possible.
That's right.
And I think the best thing about gratitude, not only is it foster a sense of appreciation, which it probably, I'm sure, has actual physiologic benefits. I'm sure it raises your brain's level of serotonin and oxytocin and all these good neurotransmitters and lowers your blood pressure and does all those good things. But more importantly, I find the most beautiful thing gratitude does, it makes you want to go out and do something for somebody else. And that's the greatest feeling of all. So use that gratitude to improve your own life and improve the lives of people around you. And then you're fulfilling your real purpose on earth, I believe.
I love that. I love that. And I'm grateful that you are here sharing the good news about how our bodies can reverse disease. And so I want to remind all of you who are watching all over the world if you have a question for Dr. Klaper, please type in a Q. Write your question down, because a lot of you make comments and I want to get to all your questions. We will have time at the end of the class today in the Teacher's Pet Corner. If we have time before, we'll ask, but if we don't, we'll ask at the Teacher's Pet Corner. So hold on, make sure you type in the Q and write your question down. So let's talk about water, because that's really one of the reasons why I just absolutely adore you, is for us to become aware of how water impacts our lives. So let's talk about the benefits, and then we can switch later on into what happens when we do ignore the water and we substitute water with Coke or tea or anything like that. So,
okay. Well, as long as we have time and I can take a bit of a long run up here, I'm a big fan of water, to say the least. It's such an amazing molecule. From the minute I started reading about it in chemistry and in physics, to understand its stunning properties, how so many things will dissolve in water, and it's the way it boils and freezes and changes state. It's a magical molecule. But very importantly, from our point of view, it is essential for life. And if one believes in evolution at all, life began in water and in the oceans. And when the animals left the ocean and came up to the dry land, we brought the ocean with us in the saltiness of our bloodstream and the amount of water in every one of our cells. As a human baby is developing in the mother's womb, it's floating in water. We have our own private ocean in there. We are watery creatures. And that's, there's great symbolic meaning in all of that. But from the physician's point of view, we have an ironclad bond with that molecule, with water, that we must absolutely protect the balance in the body. You don't want too much water. You don't want people being waterlogged and overloaded and congestive heart failure and low sodium seizures from too much water, but you sure don't want them getting dehydrated and too little water. And so we want to find just that right balance of things that are just beautifully hydrated. And so that comes down to, of course, we need to consume water. We're constantly losing water. Every breath you take, you are losing water molecules on your breath. All of us, even if you're in cold weather, you're still perspiring a little bit. You're always losing water out through your skin. Every time you urinate, of course, you're losing water. Every bowel movement is mostly water. So we're constantly losing water out of our tissues. And so I don't want to get dehydrated, but unless you take some steps to prevent that, the flow of water is generally out of your body, and you need to not ignore that. And so it's important to consume enough water, and that's, just a ballpark, roughly 2 to 3 liters a day, 2 to 3 quarts of water a day, should suffice for most people. But as a physician, I think, as your guest on the show that you want me to delve into a bit, let's talk a bit about the importance of water. Of course, as I said, every reaction in our body takes place in a watery medium in our cells, whether it's neutralizing acid or transporting sugars or building new protein. It all happens in a watery medium. So we want to consume enough water. And it starts the first thing in the morning. Because you've been losing water all night, as I've mentioned. You've been laying in bed breathing for 6 or 8 hours. You've lost water through your lungs, but often people, you find their mouths are dry in the morning, their tongue is dry in the morning if they've been breathing out. So you've clearly been losing water. You probably urinated once or twice at night, so you lost water that way. And so you're already down a little bit of water. As your eyelids flutter open in the morning, there's a need for water. And for this reason, I would say pretty much the very first thing I do in the morning, I get up, take a few deep breaths, stretch a little bit, and I go into the kitchen and I have at least 1 tall, but try for 2 tall glasses of water. Why do I do that? For a couple of very important reasons. The body's been metabolizing all night. The muscles are still burning glucose, etc. Acids and waste products build up in the bloodstream. I want to give my kidneys enough water to excrete those wastes out of my bloodstream. So first thing, I want to be kind to my kidneys there, and so I'll give them a quart or 2 of water to help cleanse my blood. But speaking of blood, as we get dehydrated, blood gets thicker. Okay, our blood becomes more viscous. And people severely dehydrated in the desert, that blood is not flowing through their kidneys, not flowing through their tissues. It's really important to keep your blood viscosity down, to keep your blood free flowing. So that's another reason I want to have that glass of water in the morning, to increase blood flow through my kidneys, but through all my tissues. When we get dehydrated, maybe I'm getting a little ahead of your question here, but also one reason I want to drink is because as we lose water, our secretions, the mucus, that beneficial, beautiful mucus that lines our nasal passage, lines our bronchial membranes, that gets thicker. And oxygen's not so easily able to go across the membranes and have a layer of mucus on them. Bacteria are able to invade that thick, stagnant mucus better, and people can get more lung infections. So in fact, it's hard to pick an organ that doesn't benefit from more water during the day. Certainly our skin, we're losing water through our skin. Keeping your skin well hydrated is important. So by and large, it's more than just a good luck ritual to have a glass or 2 of water in the morning. I think it's a way to tell your body, I honor you, I recognize you, I want to get you going in as good a condition as possible. If you were driving your car and you were down a quart of oil all the time and you weren't lubricating the parts, and you're grinding noises coming from the engine, you pull it into the garage and the guy checks and says, man, you've been driving around with a quart and a half too low of oil. No wonder the machinery isn't working. Well, I kind of view topping up my water supply as similar to that. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I can do is express how important it is to realize our watery nature, to honor it, starting off with a with some water in the morning, and to realize all your organs will benefit from it. And finally, one of the beautiful things is we advocate a whole food plant-based diet. It's a high water content diet with all the soups and the salads and the steamed vegetables and the fruit. There's a lot of water in these foods, and that's wonderful because you're pouring water through your cells. It's like taking your cells to the car wash and you're just flushing not only water through them, but this is water that's come from fresh fruits and vegetables. They're full of phytonutrients and antioxidants and minerals. It's divine water, so to speak, if you will. So I start off with a couple of glasses of water during the day. I eat a high water content diet as far as my food goes, and I'll have another glass or two over the course of the afternoon and evening. So by the time the day's over, I've had a good 4 glasses of actual liquid water, and another 2 or 3, I bet, in the foods I was eating. So a fair amount of water goes through my tissues. I give my kidneys a good workout, but it's gratitude as I'm emptying my bladder. Thank you for healthy kidneys and for a healthy bladder. So I honor my connection with water and try to be true to it.
I love that visual of, so just recently, we're going to be doing a 12-week survival course with Gary Thibault. And he learned a lot from Aborigines. He is, and he's from Canada. And so both sides of his family. So there's a lot of earth traditions, and he's also he's also an herbalist, self-taught, all these things, because Aborigines, they love nature and they honor nature. One of the things, and you had mentioned that when you get up, you drink water. What he told me is, before my feet hit the floor, to drink a liter of water before I hit the floor. And he had said that when we're laying down and we're resting, there are some valves that open that allow for the flow to continue at night. And I have no idea that I'd be talking about this out loud, because I have not even spoken this, but I've been doing this myself. And he says that when you drink it before your feet hit the ground, because when your feet hit the ground, these valves shut down. So it's not as quick. And so I've been doing this every morning, and I noticed when I do it before my feet hit the ground that I am not as thirsty throughout the day. It's almost like I've saturated all my intestinal flow, whatever. And so I started doing that. Do you know what this valve is that he might be talking about? That he probably told me the name of the valve. I just don't remember. But he said that once your feet hit the ground, the valves close, so the water doesn't flow as quickly as if when you were laying down and that valve was open.
I suspect he's talking about the valves in our leg veins. So we have little upward facing valves that keep the blood flowing upward. And when you're laying down, those valves are probably pretty relaxed. When you stand up, the valve leaflets come together. Lovely image. And if you still have to sit up.
Sit up. Yeah,
but don't drink the water.
No. That's a good point. No. I sit up in bed, but my feet don't hit the ground.
Right. Now whether your valves close when you're just sitting on the edge of the bed, it's a lovely image, and I have no problem with drinking a pint or 2 of water just sitting on the edge of your bed before you start your day. It's an absolutely lovely thing to do. So
I'll have to find out. I'll get back to you as to he did tell me about the valve, but I think it's in the intestines. There's like a flap or something. I'll have to
find out. Let me know what he's saying.
Yeah, because I'm curious about it, because I've been doing this and I used to be thirsty all the time. I couldn't get enough water. And so ever since I started doing this, then I've felt that there's been much more hydration in my body than before. Now it could be psychosomatic, it could be whatever, but I'm still trying it out. Like I said, this is the first time I've said it out loud, but I've been doing this every morning now for probably about 3 weeks or so. But anyway, so I was just wondering what you thought of that, but I will find out the valve. So with that in mind, Another thing that he said was that filtered water is better than reverse osmosis water. And I'm thinking, I heard reverse osmosis water gets everything out of the water. Not all waters are created equal. You have dealt with water for such a long time. I'm sure you've read all the studies about water. Is all water created equal, or are there benefits to some waters and not other waters?
Oh my.
Uh-oh.
Well, are all waters created equal? No, of course not. But there comes a level of, assuming they're pure enough to, to be healthy to drink.
Yeah.
Is there a significant difference between the filtered water, the distilled water, the reverse osmosis, et cetera? Does it really make a difference? A lot of people have big emotional investments in one type of versus another, and a lot of people have financial investments pushing that. In the real scientific level, does it really matter a whole lot there? As long as the water is really pure. I mean, distilled water, of course, would be the purest. It leaves pretty much everything behind. And the filtered folks say, yeah, but you don't have any loosen the minerals if you don't distill water. But you're not drinking water for minerals. That's what you're eating salads for that, and fruits and vegetables. Water is not a significant source of minerals, and it often is, depending on if you got well water, and depends what's in the minerals beneath your house there. But by and large, if you're buying commercial water or you're filtering it, the mineral content of it may make it taste a little bit better, but it wouldn't sway me one way or the other. One filtration brand versus reverse osmosis, etc. The important thing is purity. You want the water free of contaminants, heavy metals, hydrocarbons, herbicides, pesticides, and biological critters in there, bacteria, parasites, etc. That's really what water cleansing is about. And as long as it does those three things, and I want to see the chemical readout. I want to see the heavy metals and hydrocarbons and bacteria. And if they're all in the well accepted range there, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference between the different types of water. And I'm sure I'll get lots of comments and criticisms about that. But out on the desert, if someone gave me reverse osmosis water or filtered water
or toilet water,
believe me, I'd be grateful for any of them. They would all work just fine. Thank you.
Okay, so with that in mind, there are such a thing as people buy bottled water only because they want the pure water, and some people don't care and they drink tap water all the time, and they drink it when they go to restaurants and the water's not filtered. Any word of warning or advice there?
Not really. Like everything else, the dose makes the poison. It's how much of any given contaminant is coming through. A one-time drink of water in a restaurant, unless it's crawling with bacteria and giardia, and even if there's a little bit of sulfate or phosphate in water, it really, you got healthy kidneys. They know what to do with it, and it's going to run right through there. So if it's just a random exposure, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. And it's your everyday water source. That's the real issue. What's in your house? What's the majority of what you're drinking there? And if there's any questions, spend the $50 and send off a specimen of your water off to a lab and have it analyzed. Find out what's in your drinking water. And there's commercial labs everywhere. Be glad to do that for you. And once you get the report back, you'll know what kind of technology you need to get that water as pure as possible. And they'll make recommendations, but it's easy to find that information on the internet. So rather than speculate, find out what's in your water. And we have here in West Palm Beach, I sent off water supply, came back quite pure. I got to give the folks credit. There's a little bit of hydrocarbon in there from old chlorination practices, but by and large, pretty clean water. We have a couple of filters on our system, a fridge filter, etc. But I feel confident drinking the water, and it's been a few years, haven't developed any cancers or dementia so far. So it's purity rather than what's the mineral content of this glass versus that glass.
What about alkaline water and versus regular water that you get from filtered water. So
Right.
there's people that are talking about, you want pH 10, you want pH 9. And I know that when I've drank water that's pH 10, I get loose stools because I have
Yeah.
very low acid in my stomach. And then if I'm putting something that's really alkaline, I can't digest my food. So there's a rule
Really?
about drinking water, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, we're so Americans. If a little is good, more must be better, right? If pH 7 is good, well, how about 8? Oh, how about 9? How about and the water is getting more and more alkaline. It's turning into lye. Sodium hydroxide is Drano, it's lye, LYE. And that's got a pH of 14. Well, you're kind of moving on towards that, and then pH 10. That's silly. You're drinking water. Water should have a pH of 7, give or take a little bit, maybe 7.12, 7.2. The pH of your blood is 7.4. You want to have maybe a pH up to 8, but that's about as alkaline as you want. There's no alkaline derby here. The more alkaline, the better. That's just silly. That's advertising. So it should be, somewhat less than 8. And it should taste good for you, but it's silly too. And the question about should you be alkalizing the water? And there's these $6,000 machines that will alkalinize your water, and I really think that is not a wise move of one's money, wise use of one's money. It turns out that I think Dr. Greger published a study that there were some folks the natural drinking water was a little bit on the alkaline side, and they had this much less heart disease. So yay, there's a benefit. But of course, they were all eating the standard American diet, and you don't know what to do with those studies. As far as healthy plant-eating folks, would alkaline water make any difference in their long-term health? I certainly have not seen any studies one way or the other on that. But as Dr. Greger said, you want a little alkaline water, literally take a gallon of water and put a quarter of a teaspoon of baking soda in there, and you'll have alkaline water, and it costs less than a penny. And so you can make the water a little alkaline, but don't think that I don't think spending thousands of dollars for a machine that does that is worthwhile.
Thank you for sharing that. I've gotten so many people, say to me, oh, you don't want to touch reverse osmosis water. You don't want to touch filtered water. You can only do pH. And I've tried it and I just don't get it. And hey, I'm just being honest with you guys, as I always am. And I appreciate your honesty, Dr. Klaper, because and so then they tell me, this is the next thing they tell me, but you can't drink water a half an hour before you eat or an hour after you eat. Is there any truth to that?
Because it dilutes out your digestive juices.
Correct.
I don't think there's much truth to that. I will grant that if you're you got a big plate of rice and potatoes, if I had a high starch meal there, you probably don't want to drink 4 glasses of water before that. It might dilute your digestion. It might do some strange things to it. I don't know. But it's also bizarre if one's really thirsty, or after 3 forkfuls of rice, you're really thirsty and you look at that water, boy, I'd like to drink it, but I can't do it. That's silly. Have a couple of swallows of water. Good heavens. This is not trial by ordeal. You should enjoy the meal. And so a few swallows of water during a meal, I think, causes no risk to the person whatsoever. And be reasonable. Listen to your taste. It knows. And the same thing with the alkaline water. Every river, every stream before humans polluted them all, when they were running pure off the mountainsides, they all had a pH of around 7. And all the deer and the foxes and the chipmunks, they all been drinking pH water of pH of 7. And they've all lived for millions of years happily doing that. To think that we suddenly have to have a pH of 8 or 9, it just it's not coherent with natural law and natural experience here.
Thank you for sharing that, because there's a lot that it is amazing, Dr. Klaper. I used to say you can't argue facts, right? You just can't argue facts. But then science, or you couldn't argue science. But now science has been so, depending on who's paying for the science, it has been altered to the results. Like when I coach somebody or when I do a class or whatever, I have no outcome. I just want to learn. And then everybody can decide what they're going to use with this information. I have no attachment to the outcome other than what I have researched myself and what I want to do with myself for myself with this information. But when you start hearing about people that you trust and love, and all of a sudden they're telling you things about alkaline water and the rules about water. Like I used to drink a lot of water when I used to eat, and now I will maybe have a sip or two if I get thirsty, because because of the acid, the acidity, the lack of acidity in my stomach. I want to make sure that my food gets digested and all that. But if I'm thirsty, I'm gonna take a sip.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to let them scare me.
Good.
It's good to know, to hear this from you.
Absolutely. No place for fear if you're enjoying a meal. Nothing messes up an experience or a healthy meal than fear. So enjoy it. Most important. Listen to your body.
Yes. Okay. And so then there's room temperature water, and then ice cold water and hot water. And so what would you say about those myths?
I would say in general, probably ice cold water is probably not the most physiologic, natural thing to do. And outside of caribou up in Alaska, drinking from a stream, probably most animals, most creatures don't drink ice cold water. Cool water, I don't think is a problem. I think it's refreshing. I think the animals know that as well. As they drink from the mountain streams, etc. Cool water probably tastes pretty good. Room temperature water, absolutely safe, and if you like it, that's just perfectly fine. I used to have ice in every drink. Less and less. I'm going more towards room temperature water. I have to admit that. Mm-hmm. And hot water, don't burn your tongue, don't burn your mouth. But the truth is, as you sip the tea or whatever, the very act of sipping it, as you pull that air in over it, the temperature drops down to 104, 108 or so. If it's not burning your tongue, by the time it actually gets down your stomach, it's getting near body temperature. Mm-hmm. So the issue about hot water, as long as you don't want to burn your esophagus, you don't want to burn your mouth, that's too hot. Mm-hmm. But if it's just pleasantly warm, I think that's safe to do that as well.
What about adding lemon to your water?
I'm a big fan of lemon water. I've been following the philosophy of David Sinclair. He's a researcher at Harvard, who's very into intermittent fasting. The rationale is your body, over the course of the night when you've been sleeping, your body is starting to get into an official fasting state. You're not in ketosis. But the metabolic wheels are starting to grind in that direction, and beneficial changes are starting to happen in your cells. These molecules called sirtuins are starting to appear that are anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer. The cells are starting to clean out debris within them. It's good changes are happening as we approach the dawn hours from your overnight fast. Well, Dr. Sinclair is saying if these beneficial changes are starting to happen, as soon as you go to the kitchen table and shove in a bunch of carbohydrates, whether it's oatmeal or fruit or whatever, all those beneficial changes come to a screeching halt. And so the philosophy is and most people are not hungry in the morning. They wake up and their body's still been burning this nighttime fat-rich fuel, which suppresses hunger. And so Dr. Sinclair and I agree that if you're not really hungry, that's your body saying you don't need a bunch of carbohydrates first thing in the morning. Keep that fasting going during the morning hours. Just drink water till as many hours as you can, 10 in the morning, 11. By noontime, enough. Now it's time to start your eating day. But if you can go through the morning hours just drinking water, or lemon water, you get the benefits. It's like a little mini fast there every morning, and it's purported to have beneficial changes in the body. So we can talk more about that. But that said, as I said, I have my 2 glasses of regular water in the morning. I get up early around by 7. I've had my 2 glasses of water, and so 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I'm looking for towards noon where I can start eating food. So how do I get through these morning hours exactly? Well, I boil up some water and I cut a lemon in half and squeeze it into the cup and put in hot water and 1 shake of cayenne pepper, and so now I've got a cup of hot lemon water, a little cayenne. And I will sip that for the next hour or 2. That usually gets me till about 10 in the morning, 10:30. I think the lemon does wonderful things for me. I have concern about what it might be doing to the enamel of my teeth. And so I've only been doing this for a few weeks here. Now I've got veneers on some of my teeth, so they won't suffer, but I wonder what's happening underneath there.
I normally brush my teeth. Yeah. I normally
So
rinse it
I've
up.
learned after I finish the cup of lemon water, I go in the bathroom and I rinse out my mouth there. So that's my only concern, but it's a lovely morning drink, no calories, and keeps you in ketosis there. So yeah, I'm a fan of hot lemon water, but rinse your mouth out afterwards. You've got nice pearly white natural teeth there. You don't want them getting pitted from the acid.
Yeah. And then you also add a little bit of fizzy water, is what you call it, fizzy water.
That's separate here. We have. I really like carbonated water, and so after I drink my lemon water, I've got another hour to go there. So do I want another glass of regular water? So we got a soda stream device in there. So we have a carbonated water bottle in the fridge. And I really enjoy carbonated water, and I think it's benign. I don't think it has any adverse effect. And so I'll sip that over the course of this next hour. And by then it'll be noon, it'll be time to have my salad and get into my eating day here. So, in the evening or sometimes with dinner, because I'm a carbonated water fan, before I fill the glass, I'll put in a couple of fingers of cranberry juice or pomegranate juice, and then add the carbonated water. And it makes your own, your soft drink, but no sugar, no high fructose corn syrup, and it's a lot cheaper. You get a lot of drinks out of that 1 bottle of fruit juice.
Yes.
So it has a valued a place in my eating day here, the carbonated water.
Yeah, my grandchildren know that as Mimi soda. So when they come over to the house, they either have Mimi soda or Mimi wine. So that would be, so I'll serve it in a beautiful glass of wine, because I always say it doesn't matter what you drink, it's how you drink it. So it's a glass of wine, and then we put, if they want Mimi wine, it's flat water. It's so it's a pomegranate juice, a little bit of pomegranate juice with water. And then if it's Mimi soda, then we put some Perrier or some mineral water in it with some pomegranate juice, and they love it. We don't have soda in the house. We don't buy anything of that's sweet like that. And so we want to make sure that the kids know that this is something that they can get here and they can do there at their own house too. Absolutely. But it's so cute when they say, "Mommy, Mimi, can I have some Mimi wine or Mimi soda?" And so anyway, it's I know some people might say, "You give your kids Mimi wine?" Well, they see the adults having wine, and so they can have mocktails. Everybody can have mocktails. You don't have to drink alcohol, just like you don't have to eat breakfast. So what is this myth about breakfast, that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, that we need to have breakfast, or, your day is like, to me, dance. If you want to do something that's impactful in your life, how about dancing?
Here. Well said. This whole idea of breakfast, most important meal of the day. There's very little scientific evidence of that. And in fact, if you're not hungry in the morning, no other animal would go do that to go eat, even when it's not hungry. It's not a natural thing to do as far as I'm concerned. If you're really hungry, by all means, have some oatmeal, have some cantaloupe, by all means. But if you're not really hungry, listen to your body. It's giving you a message I think we should pay attention to.
So before I go into the minerals in the water, because you had spoken
Right.
about the minerals in the water a little bit, but
Right.
I do want to talk about how important it is for us to learn these new truths. We've been lied to. We've been lied to for a long time. And who's lied to us? The people that want us to purchase things for them. So we want to sell you some milk. So milk does the body good. We'll put a milk mustache on you, on the most popular people, and all of a sudden we're going to have milk, or we're going to go have bagels and have all these things that are not necessarily healthy for us, but we're trusting the wrong people. We're trusting marketing. We're trusting companies that are the food industry that is making us sick, and the pharmaceutical industry that is treating us when we really don't need, but to change our lifestyle. So I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. That's where we all learn and grow learn these new truths. That when I went raw vegan for 30 days, oh my gosh, my eyes just opened, and how good I felt. And so we're challenging all of you. We're starting on April 18th as the 30-day raw vegan challenge. So I want you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com, check it out. Please join us in this challenge, and so that you can learn what your body might feel like if you drink water in the morning and maybe have a salad in the afternoon. And it wasn't that I was feeling bad. I just didn't know I could feel better. So if you're tired of being sick and tired and being manipulated by the industries that are making a lot of money from your illnesses and the way you're eating, then it's time to just give your body a break. I always say that I can do anything for 30 days as long as it's not going to harm my body, or that it's illegal. So I can do anything as long as it's legal and it won't harm my body. So I want to encourage you to check that out. There's also other things that we're doing. We have workshops coming up with Dr. Bradley Nelson, and we're going to have there's so many different things. Just check out, go to whenyouneedafriend.com. We also have the Shop Now bag that you can get, the New Truth series. I am the Book of Revelation, and also the 100 lessons from the Exodus. There's so many different ways that you can learn gratitude, that you can learn how to be healthy. So there's lots of different ways that you can do that. Also check out my sponsors and support them in ways that they are supporting the classroom. And last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom. So whether you're looking to tithe or participate and help out us grow, you can give $1 or $1,000 of your time, talent, or treasure. Whatever you donate will be greatly appreciated. So today we're talking to Dr. Michael Klaper. You can find him at DoctorKlaper.com. So I just want to make sure I spelled out his name. But if you go to my website, you can click onto his name on this week's blog, and it'll take you straight to Dr. Klaper. He's also got an event in West Palm Beach that he's going to be attending, and I would love to attend. It all depends on my schedule, but can you share a little bit about what you're doing as far as moving medicine forward and working with Dr. Neil Barnard, who's also a wonderful teacher in the classroom?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking. It's so heartening to see little flickers of progress starting to happen around us. And a big blazing one showed up here at our local hospital, Good Samaritan, on Flagler Drive here in West Palm Beach. There's an internist there, Dr. Dodson, who got very distressed after admitting a patient with a heart attack when he saw what came up on the dietary tray. It was full of bacon and eggs the morning after a heart attack. And he said, who's making up the dietary tray here? It's the pathologist, I think. Yeah. So he went to the dietary department. He said, how about some healthy plant-based meals for our patients here, man? How about in the cafeteria as well for the staff? And much to everyone's amazement, the dietary department said, yeah, it's a good idea. And so now they've got healthier plant-based meals coming up to the patients, and hopefully you can get it in the cafeteria if you're a staff member there. So Dr. Neil Barnard from PCRM, who's been long advocating healthier foods in hospitals, is flying down, and we're having an event at Good Samaritan Hospital on Flagler Drive in West Palm Beach this coming Thursday, April 7th, at 6:30 in the evening, in their meeting room. If you come into Good Samaritan lobby there, you'll see a sign for it. But again, it's a sign of the times that things are starting to change for the better there. So let's all get together and celebrate that.
Absolutely. I would love to be there. I'm gonna have to check and see what my schedule looks like, but it's April 7th at 6:30 in 2022. So if you're listening to this later on and maybe 2 years from now, it's 2022. So it's wonderful to see the changes and how sad it is that a hospital, would give bacon and eggs to someone who just had a heart attack. What would you say to someone who right now is eating bagels or bacon and eggs for breakfast, or dropping by, a drive-through to pick up some McMuffins or whatever for their diet? What would you say to them? What are they doing to their health?
Oh, that's a whole lecture in itself. They tell in my lecture, your body is never not looking. There's no fooling your body. You can't tell your body, look over here to have a cheeseburger and a bacon egg. What was that? Your arteries know, your livers know, your hormones, your whole body knows. And we know that meal after meal of those kind of diets based on animal products and dairy and oils and sugars and processed foods, they damage the arteries. They set off the plaque formation that leads to heart attacks and strokes. It fosters cancer. It's a pathogenic diet. And I have compassion for the people because the doctors aren't telling them that. And that's why we're, with our Moving Medicine Forward initiative, trying to reach the medical students and say, it's what your patients are eating, doctor, which is why they're sitting in front of you, overweight, diabetic, hypertensive, clogged up and inflamed. And if you get them on a whole food plant-based diet, these diseases go away, they resolve. And not only do the doctors need to know that, but the general public needs to know that. If you just start eating a whole food plant-based diet, and the vast majority of whatever medical issue you're struggling with, high blood pressure, obesity, diabetes, it will get better. And so we are plant-eating hominid creatures here, and we have the same digestive system that our gorilla and bonobo cousins have, and they're up in the trees eating leaves and fruit. And I've never had a gorilla complaining of constipation or diverticulosis. So really, we should honor our herbivorous natures, and things get better from there. So eat more plants.
Yes, eat more plants. And so this 30-day challenge that we are doing, it's a raw vegan. So of course, I don't like to use the terminology vegan very much because a lot of people can eat potato chips and Oreos and still be in technically a vegan diet. So what are some kind words that you can say, that encouraging words about a raw vegan diet that you may want to share?
This is really important. There's something essential, something so vital about uncooked foods, about raw foods. And I was of the belief, well, just steaming the kale doesn't hurt it. But it does change things subtly. And I found people who are coming off fast for inflammatory diseases, for rheumatoid arthritis, etc. They do better if, when they do their refeed, they stay on largely raw foods, salads and fruits, etc., rather than eating a bunch of pastas and cooked vegetables, etc. So I think there's something really healing about the raw foods in general. Before the advent of fire, we were all raw foodists in that way. But I think, it's got a really healing essence to it. Also, raw foods are richer, higher in water content. And so it's more of a high water content when you eat those lovely salads and celery stalks and carrot sticks, etc. And a very important benefit is we started off earlier talking about how your kidneys benefit from the water and your skin benefit, your heart, etc. So does your brain. I think there's a significant element when we look at the epidemic of Alzheimer's disease and dementia that we're seeing. When you look under the microscope, you see that so there's a significant element of dehydration. These old folks and young folks don't drink enough, and the proteins in their brain start to thicken and coagulate, and they lose the elasticity of the bioelasticity of the brain there. And so for your brain, drink enough water. But again, getting back to the raw food challenge, you're going to be eating lots of water and all these raw vegetables, and it'll help everything, including your brain. So, man, 30 days on raw food should leave you brighter and clearer and really feeling vital. So I think it's a great idea.
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad that you feel that way, because that was what changed my life. That's what got me from being an allopathic girl, looking at, when I started the show, what's the latest in allopathic medicine and pharmaceuticals. And then all of a sudden someone challenged me to go raw vegan for 30 days. And after 4 days it was like learning a new language for me. It was, but I've learned, but after 4 days of eating raw vegan, I had so much energy and I felt so good. And it wasn't that I felt bad. I just didn't know I could feel better. So I want to challenge all of you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com, check out the challenge. We're going to have teachers come in on Tuesday nights to talk about how to improve your lifestyle, tips and tricks about being raw vegan. But it's really raw, whole food, plant-based that I'm promoting. And I just want to encourage you to check it out. Dr. Klaper, we've talked a lot about water. We've dove a little bit into food and fasting and all those things. Is there anything that you would like to share that perhaps maybe we weren't able to get to, or maybe I didn't ask?
Rejoice in all the water in your diet. Every bowl of soup, it brings good things into your body, including lots of water. Every smoothie, every fruit juice, the whole, freshly prepared juices, they're mostly water, and they're healing waters. And certainly those raw salads, those mangoes and watery fruits, they carry the water of life. And so welcome these whole plant foods. The animal foods don't have much in the way of water, and certainly the processed prepared junk in the supermarkets sure don't. So go for the natural foods. Have a few glasses of water during the day, but take it in largely in the watery dishes and natural fruits and vegetables that you eat. And you should stay a light, healthy, and watery creature all your life there. Don't deprive yourself of the water of life. It's absolutely essential.
What, in contrast, some people drink soda all day. Some people drink coffee all day. Some people drink tea all day. What would you say about that? Because they're in their mind, they're drinking water.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the water is probably the thing that saves them from the toxicity of those other molecules in there. I'm not a big fan, certainly of these cola drinks, the high fructose corn syrup and all the preservatives and the stabilizers and the phosphoric acid. It's really a toxic brew. Nobody needs that stuff. So I said, if you really miss the old soda drinks from your youth, you got to put some fruit juice in a glass and fill it with cold fizzy water. And that should be as close as you come to it, but don't be drinking the commercial stuff. And coffee, got me through many nights in the emergency room, no question. But I'm concerned about the coffee oils, all the black stuff at the bottom of the cup there. What the various types of terpenes and molecules that can be hard on your stomach. Question whether they raise cholesterol. And the pesticides and the herbicides and the political exploitation. I've really decided Coffee and I we're no longer dating, and we've broken up, and it's fine. I don't miss it at all. So drink water. I mean, it's really the best. And people talk about raising their little kids. By the time a child is 3 and 4, whatever, they should be drinking water, and they don't need a bottle of cow's milk or anything like that. We're water drinking creatures. Ask any gorilla, any chimpanzee, any gibbon. We are even our simian cousins. We're all water drinkers. So so don't begrudge yourself, and don't put a bunch of toxic pollutants in it.
so well said, Dr. Klaper. For those of you who are watching today, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook Live, type in a Q if you have a question for Dr. Klaper. After the class today, we'll go into the Teacher's Pet Corner. For people that are watching, listening on podcasts, you can always join us. You can watch the live broadcast that's uploaded on BitChute and Odyssey as well. Please like and follow so that you can get the latest of the teachers that are in the classroom. But share this with your friends, because there's not a lot of people out there talking about the importance of water or how milk does not do the body good. And so please share this with your friends and let people know, especially if they're in the West Palm Beach area or close enough that they want to go and support Good Samaritan Hospital for their taking a step towards true health, right? I see you nodding your head.
What a novel idea in a hospital. Gee, healthy food. That's a great idea. Should have thought of that.
Yes. And real quick, we've got about a minute left before we go into, oh, no, we don't. Well, I'll ask you the question. The question is, well, I'll ask it in a little bit, because of all of you know that it is important to live the life that you want. But when you give your body what it needs, that's the absolutely best. So thank you, Dr. Klaper, for coming into the classroom today. Stay tuned, because we're going to do our Teacher's Pet Corner and answer your questions. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. This is Lillian Mcdermott and Dr. Michael Klaper wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. Good job.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian Mcdermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Okay, so we have some questions for you, Dr. Klaper. Everybody loves you. And I am so grateful that we finally got you back into the classroom. It's been too long, and you've been moving and shaking and changing the world and teaching other doctors how to look at medicine in a natural way, the way God intended it, actually. And so thank you so much for doing that. And I know that you've had a full career, and now you're giving back a lot. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first question we have is from Thomas. I've read our primary water deep in the earth that is pure and abundant. Do you know about this?
Well, sure, there's pure water deep in the earth, and they call it fossilized water. It was around at the time of the dinosaurs. It was as the glaciers melted, well, I guess the time of the mammoths, etc. But probably earlier than that. But as the glaciers receded, lots of rivers, ran across the surface of the land, but a lot of water sunk down into cracks and crevices and formed aquifers and underground lakes. And that's the same water that was here when, certainly when the mammoths were walking around, but probably some of it when the dinosaurs were here. And it's obviously pure, pristine water, unless it's been polluted by humans. We do that with our injection wells and things. Mm-hmm. But if it hasn't been polluted, it's beautifully clear. Unfortunately, it's being tapped and used to irrigate alfalfa and corn and soybeans to grow animal fodder these days. And we're sucking the aquifers dry. But the water itself is, I'm told, it's just exquisitely pure and beautiful. It's a shame to squander it like that. But yes, I'm all for that ancient water. But it's water, and even if the water you're consuming is distilled water or been really purified, it's just water. There's nothing that magic. We got to be careful against giving these various fruits, vegetables, water, whatever, these magical powers. If we just eat enough acai berries and enough Himalayan sea salt and enough pure fossilized water, then we're going to be healthy. It's the whole food stream moving through you. It's your whole mental stage, your whole approach to life is what's going to create true health here. And so beware of the of the magic amulets that get dangled in front of us by the merchandisers. That's not really where health lies. Health lies in healthy living and generous loving. That's where health lies.
That was one of the questions I wanted to ask you, which is, you had said, really get your minerals from the food that you eat. And many people have said reverse osmosis water, distilled water doesn't have any nutrients. It's kind of like, or minerals that you need for the water. And so you had mentioned not to worry about it, that you get your minerals from your food. But what if someone's not getting minerals from their food? What do you suggest you could add to what's essential for water? What's the bare minimum?
Yeah, I mean, again, that's the point here. When you look at the major minerals, sodium, potassium, chlorine, do I need that in my drinking water? I don't need any of that in my drinking water, really. In the natural world, as the leaves on the trees fall into the streams and they break apart, you're going to get carbon and potassium and all these things in there. But does it really change what that water is doing in my body? When that water molecule goes through my kidneys, does it really need to have sodium or selenium or cobalt in it? No, it doesn't really need that. Your kidneys are looking for water. And so again, I think we're putting too much emphasis on what's in the water. But if you're making a lovely vegetable soup and you cut a bunch of veggies and throw it in the pot and add a couple of quarts of water and cooking it, well, what's going to happen? Those the cells of the vegetables are going to break up, and all the potassium and sodium chloride are going to wash out and flow out into the soup broth, etc. And even if you made it with distilled water, it becomes imbued with the minerals in the fruits and vegetables, whatever you're making. If you're making a smoothie, and you blend up the mangoes and the berries and all that, even though you use distilled water, the benefits you're going to get flow into the water. So this distinction about how much sodium, potassium is in the water that you put into the soup pot or into the smoothie blender, it really doesn't make any difference as far as I can see. And if one is in a prison cell and the only thing they have is distilled water and they've been drinking that for 5 solid days, could they wash out some potassium? Yeah, I guess so. But no one's telling you to do that. I guess on a prolonged water fast. But in True North, we used distilled water there, and people did 20 and 30-day fasts. And again, your kidneys know how to hold on to potassium. They know how to hold on to sodium. Just because it's not in the drinking water doesn't mean that it's flushing out of your body like that. So we never really had any severe problems with electrolytes balance and even these prolonged fasting folks. So I would say the concern about the minerals in the water is really—
That's good to know. Good to know, because there's that again, you need to put ions in your water, minerals in your water. And you're basically saying, just drink the water. Your body will know if it needs to release it, or if it needs it, it'll get it in the food, right?
Exactly.
Okay, very good. Okay, so Sharon has a question. I am off dairy products to combat osteoarthritis, but the improvements is slow. Not eating any meats, and I have no weight loss. Do you have any suggestions?
Oh my, well, there's a couple things in there. There's the whole inflammatory issue regarding her joints,
Yes.
and then there's the whole weight loss issue.
Yes.
Weight loss will happen with whole plant foods. If you're keeping your tummy full of soups and salads and steamed veggies, it's mostly fiber and water in your belly. It doesn't stick to you. Once you start adding flour products in, vegan baked goods, breads, even a lot of pastas, if you're using oils of any type, refined carbohydrates, sugars, whatever, you're not going to lose weight. And so go to a truly whole food, plant-based diet, soup and salads, steamed veggies, healthy starches, and the weight should come off. As far as the joints, of the various types of arthritis, osteoarthritis is the slowest healing of all. The knobs in your finger joints probably won't go away, but at least they'll stop hurting so much. But it can take months and months for that to happen. So there's natural, treatments. I've had some folks benefit every night when they fill up a basin with warm water and put their hands in warm water. And while they're watching TV, they're moving their joints in and out, and then they elevate their joints. So they elevate their hands so the blood flows away from that area. And the joints often feel better after that. You can, the occupational therapists, the OT, specialize in hand rehabilitation. So get on the website of occupational therapy, hand rehabilitation for osteoarthritis, and you'll probably get some more tips and techniques for that. But it takes time, tincture of time, powerful medicine, but it takes a while.
But, I just want to add to what you just said, because, it takes us a lifetime to get to the disease level that we're at. And we think that healing is going to happen like overnight. And it took us a long time to get there. And we need to be as patient to kind of like get all that stuff out of our body, because it's going to take a while, because our body will hold on to it, right? Before it lets it go. And there's also that emotional and gratitude and all those things that, and forgiveness and all those things that we talk about in the I Am the Solution workshop. But that is, we need to be patient and allow our body to release when it feels that it needs to release, but you're doing the right things. That's the good news, right?
Absolutely. And your diet should be anti-inflammatory, again, whole foods, but this is the time to put some ginger in there and some turmeric and some of the anti-inflammatory herbs and spices, and avoid, like the plague, anything with refined sugars and processed foods in it.
Very good. Very good. Okay. So Jeanette says, finding a doctor who knows and practices all of this has been almost impossible. I live in Tampa, but would travel across state to find one. The other challenge is insurance. Most don't work with Medicare. Does Dr. Klaper have a practice or work with a practice with in West Palm Beach? But you did say you do telemedicine. Can you share a little bit about that?
Telemedicine, absolutely. If people go to plant-based telehealth, that's all one word, PLANTBASEDTELETAHETH, plantbasedtelehealth.com. You can make an appointment to see me. We do telemedicine consultations. Don't take insurance, but the cost is pretty reasonable, and we are moving towards taking insurance. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll be doing that as well. People are looking for plant-based doctors. In general, they're few and far between. There's getting to be more of them. The American College of Lifestyle Medicine, I was promoting these young. I lecture every month to med schools across the country. There's always young medical and surgical residents who are in lifestyle medicine, and they're graduating and they're going out into practice. There's going to be more and more plant-based doctors out there. Don't despair. Mm-hmm. But until that time comes, a couple of things. One, the majority of times you don't need a plant-based doctor. If you gash your hand open, go to the urgent care clinic, get sewed up, and go home. You don't need. It doesn't matter if the person is plant-based or not. And if you're just trying to get your thyroid, the medicine prescription renewed, you don't get into the food thing with your doctor if you know they're just not open to that channel. Don't alienate them. They get defensive. It really can damage the relationship if you've got a nice thing with your doctor. In general, the less you mention about food with a doctor, the better. And it's unfortunately true. But if you've got one that is at all open to it, then bring them a copy of video like Forks Over Knives and say, would you watch this? I'd like to talk to you about it. Mm-hmm. And it's a teachable moment. Doctors, we learn most from our patients. Mm-hmm. And so it's fine to bring this information if the doctor is open to it. But get on plantbaseddocs.org and plantbaseddocs.com and look around. There's getting to be more and more of them. I know a plant-based cardiologist in Tampa, and I'm lecturing over there to the medical students at Nova Southeast over there. There's going to be more and more young docs there, so don't despair. Limp through these next few years, and you'll find a real plant-based doctor soon.
Yeah, and I really find that when you are living this kind of lifestyle, along with the spirit, mind, and body approach, you really don't need a lot
You
of
don't need a
doctoring.
doctor.
Yeah.
Exactly, right.
So-
Outside of the acute stuff, which anybody can handle.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah, you should have fewer and fewer interactions with doctors, the truth
Yeah.
of it is.
So here's a question about the shot. And so I don't know how you feel about this, but she says, my husband has a cramp behind his thigh. It's quite uncomfortable. It's happened after the shot. What can you recommend? And thanks in advice in advance to you both of you. Thank you. Okay. So what would you like to
When
say?
you say this shot, are you talking about the COVID vaccine? Is that
Yeah,
what
I
you're
didn't want to say
talking
that.
about?
Just, yeah.
Right, and he's got a cramp behind his knee.
Yeah, a thigh, behind his thigh.
Thigh. Well, the odds are that had nothing to do with the COVID vaccination. And
Okay,
you should
good.
make sure that it's not either a torn muscle or a blood clot back there. If he's
Yeah.
sedentary, you should have some doctor go to the urgent care unit, have the doc palpate it, and if necessary, order an ultrasound of that area, visualize the femoral vein, etc. Make sure you're not looking at something significant there. If it turns out to be just some sore muscles or whatever, heating a hot water bottle and some massage is probably all you need to do for that. It means he's probably sitting too much, needs to get around and walk around more often. And I'm finding I get occasional muscle cramps, and a couple of magnesium tablets, boom, makes it go right away.
Mhm.
And so it's often a sign we're not. Magnesium's a tough mineral to hold on to. It runs right up through the kidneys. And it's in dark green leafy vegetables, but if you're really plagued by cramps, a couple of magnesium tablets or a spoonful of magnesium liquid goes a long way towards making those cramps go away. So it might be a sign that he needs more magnesium.
Would you use the chelated, citrate? I mean, there's so many different kinds
Right,
of
I use magnesium
magnesium.
oxide. I use magnesium oxide, and a good belt of it, between 300 to 500 milligrams of magnesium oxide a couple hours before bed. I get a much better night's sleep.
Okay, very good. And I hope that helps. Let's see. Are urine test strips useful or valid in assessing alkaline and acid levels in the body?
No, I do not believe they are in general. Most people wake up with an acid urine. Good, you're supposed to do that. The kidneys are there to excrete an acid urine. Why? Because our food has substances that create acid, namely, even if you're eating all plants, the lovely thing about salads and all that, they have energy in the form of adenosine triphosphate, ATP. Well, the P, the phosphate, you put it in water, it turns into phosphoric acid. It's a fixed acid. Amino acids like taurine and cysteine have sulfur in them, and that turns into sulfuric acid. So the phosphorus and the sulfates are acid forming substances. And so if you had a bunch of rice and beans for dinner all night, as your body's been metabolizing that, the sulfates and the phosphates, who can get rid of those acids? Well, your kidney say, well, we can get rid of it, and into the urine it goes. So you put a dipstick in there, ooh, it's a pH of 5. But that's what's supposed to happen. That's what kidneys are for. And it's not a disease. It doesn't mean your whole system is acid. That's nonsense. It means you got healthy kidneys and they know how to excrete a little acid load from last night's dinner. So people worry themselves over this. Oh, I'm all acidic, and they go and buy all sorts of pills and potions. If you've got healthy kidneys, I wouldn't worry too much about the acid-base thing. And similar with the saliva pH there, it's largely determined by the bacteria that live in your mouth, how much sugar is in your diet there, how much acids the bacteria generate. It's not a sign that your whole system is acidic. It's more an artifact of local conditions in your mouth. And again, people spend money and they worry themselves sick over these things. Eat a whole food plant-based diet and smile a lot, and let the pH take care of itself.
I like that. I like that. Going back to the person that has the problems with their legs, we had Dr. Thomas Levy come out and say that there is a correlation with some people that have had the shot and clotting. And so he had suggested that a D-dimer test would help to see. What do you think of that?
Well, good for the doctor. That's an absolutely valid point. Yes, that's true. Now, the COVID bacteria, the COVID virus absolutely can unleash some hellacious blood clotting. Does the vaccine do that? I would think much, much less. But absolutely, if the doctor examines it, and will feel like a cord under there, under the skin, absolutely get a D-dimer test. D-dimer, these are as if you do have a blood clot, and it's breaking up, these molecules, the D-dimer molecules wind up in the bloodstream. It's a sign of a clot. And so these are very valid the suggestions, doctor. Thank you for that. Yes, get a D-dimer if there's any questions.
Okay, I just was wondering, because if there's pain, and you had mentioned could be clotting, I'm thinking we just did a show on that, and he mentioned the D-dimer. I went out and got it just because I wanted to just do like a baseline to see what it was, and it was negative. So that was really good. It was very good. Okay, so let me go switch to the next question. We still good as far as questions go? Okay. How does he feel about fruit vegetable smoothies? How do you feel about fruit vegetable smoothies?
Fruit vegetable smoothies? I'm a big fan of green smoothies. My friend, Dr. Brooke Goldner, cured herself of lupus with her green smoothie. She makes a fabulous green smoothie. And she just packs that Vitamix full of greens, uses her elbows, and she packs it full of baby kale and chard and bok choy leaves, and puts in a quarter cup of ground flax seeds, a little bit of almond milk, and one banana or a piece of mango for sweetness, so it doesn't taste like lawn clippings. But it's a green smoothie with a little bit of fruit. It's not a fruit smoothie with a little bit of greens. I have concerns about people just loaded up with fruit, and it's just full of mangoes and peaches and even berries. And there's a lot of fructose and potassium in that blender if you do that. And then they chug it down in 90 seconds and think they've done something good. But I can't think that anything normal and physiologic has happened by dumping 40 ounces of fructose and potassium into your system all at once. What other animal does that? So I'm concerned about fruit smoothies per se, fruit heavy smoothies. If you're going to be doing smoothies, I like call me a vegetable smoothie. Yes, I'll make it a vegetable smoothie with a little bit of fruit for flavoring, but don't make it a fruit heavy smoothie.
No, that's a good point. That's a good. I think I'm going to switch that, because in the mornings I've been wanting to have a smoothie, so I've been doing a berry smoothie, and I've added a little bit of kale and spinach to it, and some hemp. But you're right. I think I need to make a kale and spinach smoothie and add a little bit of berries and maybe one banana to give it a smoother taste, and the seeds and everything. So that's good. I'll make a switch. I will make that switch. Right. Okay. So this last question, I don't know if it's a question, but I'm just there's a question mark there instead of a Q. It says, my husband lost 55 pounds on a whole food plant-based diet. No oil after a major heart attack. His BMI is still slightly in the overweight category. How dangerous is it to keep those extra 12 pounds on his body?
Minimally, but good for him. First of all, he got on the proper diet. His body responded beautifully. Those last 5 or 10 pounds can really be stubborn and come up very slowly. But again, it's the state of his bloodstream after every meal that's going to make the difference. As time goes by, he'll eventually lose that weight. It may take him this next coming year to do it, but it'll come off. He shouldn't generate any anxiety over that. He's good for him. 2 thumbs up for him. He's going to do great.
You know, that's the hard issues. Like, we eat a certain way our whole life. People gain, 50, 30, 50, 100 pounds, and all of a sudden they switch and they expect a miracle, and it just doesn't happen that way. It's taken 55 years to get to where we got. It's taken me 59 years, almost 59 years to get to where I'm at. with Dr. Klaper celebrating his 75th birthday sometime this year. It takes us time to get there. We need to give ourselves the love that our body needs, and eventually it'll return, right, Dr. Klaper? It'll return to that.
Well said. Absolutely. We're biological creatures. We're not mechanical devices, with an on and off switch here. The things take time as our body equilibrates. Millions of chemical reactions have to adjust. Trust your body, get that daily fuel as pure as possible, get your headspace as happy and loving as possible, and give your body a few months or years to come into balance, but don't stress over it.
Yeah. And then we have the addict mentality. I'm just going to go back to, and people say to me all the time, oh, you got to die from something. And I always say, yeah, you're going to die. We know that. But how do you want to live? How do you want to live? That's to me the question, when you take that final breath.
Yeah, and you gotta die of something. I get these macho guys say, "Oh, I got my heart attack and die." Nature's got some tricks up her sleeve. You get your heart attack and you don't die, but you lose half your heart muscle, so you get out of breath going to the mailbox because you're now a cardiac cripple. Correct. Or you get your stroke and you don't die. And you spend your next 30 years in a wheelchair drooling with some pretty nurse wiping your backside because you can't reach back there. Then not quite so macho. So be kind to your body and be in truth about how you're treating it, and don't take comfort in, well, you got to die of something.
Yeah. It's the living with that something that is a problem.
Well
it's
said.
Crazy.
Right.
Okay. So one last question, Dr. Klaper, because I know that we've kept you from your lunch. You're not looking at your watch saying, it's already noon. So we're in the same time zone now. So I've got to be courteous to you. Okay. So the last question is from Sherry. Can a person with elevated oxalate safely drink green smoothies?
Interesting question. We're finding that the dietary oxalates don't have that much to do with getting kidney stones or whatever. But a green smoothie, that can be an issue because that's a lot of greens. But if you are someone, especially if you've had an oxalate kidney stone, get online and find the list of low oxalate vegetables, and they're largely the cruciferous vegetables. Kale and broccoli, Brussels sprouts, etc., as opposed to those in the beet family, chard beets, beet greens, etc. Those are loaded with oxalates, and spinach. Those should not be in your smoothie there. But if the only greens are just going to be kale and broccoli in there, and these are baby kale leaves, baby broccoli leaves, it's a much lower oxalate load, but even then, don't chug down 30 ounces of that smoothie there. Take a mouthful, put the glass down, chew it up, mix with your saliva, swallow it, wait 10 or 15 minutes. Let it get down into your stomach, out into your duodenum, start to get absorbed there, maybe have a little swallow of water, dilute it out there. And a half hour later, have another swallow of the smoothie there, and take all afternoon to go through that blender. Don't dump it all into your body all at once. If you do that and have sufficient water with it, I don't think you're going to be in much trouble from the oxalates.
Yeah. I have to share. I hope my husband doesn't mind, but my husband, Robert, had kidney stones most of his life. I would say most of his adult life. The one switch, of course, he stopped eating red meats and but the one major shift that made a difference for him was staying hydrated.
Now we close the circle all the way back to where we began. Absolutely. And she's absolutely right. The kidney stones are largely people not drinking enough water. And so the concentration of minerals in the urine and the uric acid and the oxalates build up to such a high level of high concentration that they precipitate out as crystals and form these stones. Well, if you keep that urine nice and dilute, there's a good chance the kidneys just physico-chemically can't form there. So she's absolutely right. Another benefit of drinking enough water, especially
and we will close with that.
Fair enough. All right.
Thank you for that question, because most people think that they need calcium, or they can't have calcium, they need to drink milk, or they have to. And the reality is it's simple. Our body is simple. We just make it so complicated. We're trying to believe the lie that you can eat whatever you want, you can do whatever you want, and your body's going to adapt. It doesn't. It's called dis-ease.
It does the best it can, but you can certainly override the wonderful mechanisms we've been giving.
Absolutely.
So take care of your body. Good stuff in, good stuff out.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Dr. Klaper. I've missed having
Lillian.
you in the classroom. I'm glad that you're here and that you're safe. I hope to see you on Thursday. For those
Same
of
here.
you who want to learn more about Dr. Klaper, if you go to my website, whenyouneedafriend.com, just click on his name for this week's blog, and it'll take you right there. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Dr. Day will be in the classroom, and we're just going to continue these wonderful conversations that lead to the life that you want to leave. It's time to take your health back, and we'll see you soon. Take care.